if this goes on YouTube, either I've thrown my video quality standards out of the window or the conversation was just too good. So, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa Joe. If you are new here, welcome. Yeah, you now know my name. I am currently working on an assignment that is due at midnight, but I don't see myself submitting it by midnight. So the work needs to look good, basically, and it's not going to look good if I meet the deadline. So it is what it is. Anyway, I've got a few things on my mind. This has been inspired by my entire day, and also by Janet Mbugua. First of all, I've missed her on YouTube so much. She had this series called 5 Things on My Mind, where she would just dish out all the 5 things that have been on her mind since the last 5 things on her mind. And I completely understand why she's taken such a big break from YouTube, because I was watching Monica season 3 and she is starring in the show. I saw her and I got so excited. She's the deputy governor, and I am glad for her, she's moved into acting. Like, wow, wow, wow. You guys know. And I'll say it again, if I was to ever get a mentor for life, it would be Janet Mbugua. The first thing on my mind is, I don't know why I've been thinking so much about this over the past few days, and it has really accelerated today. I have been thinking about marriage. I know, strange, because I consider myself too young to be thinking about marriage, but then again, it's like, hey, people get married at 18, so I'm certainly older than that. But like, still, it feels weird for me to even be thinking about it or even like considering it. I don't know. I guess it's cause I haven't had like a proper like sit down conversation with my mom concerning this, but I do know that she believes that people should only be getting married once you both have degrees and like mumeanza maisha, outside of school, basically. And I am in my first year of university. I don't know why I'm thinking about marriage, because I don't even have a boyfriend. So there's that has to happen before that, But today, I was actually talking to God about it earlier this morning, and I've been talking to Him about it throughout the week, maybe over like the past 2 weeks. Just the whole, thing of marriage. Then today, literally every single video I have watched from morning until now, unintentionally, like I wasn't planning it or anything. And these are videos addressing so many different things. You can't even say, Ati, these are videos that are talking about relationships and stuff like that. Now, fam, like commentary videos, so like such a wide range of different types of videos. And I've literally just been hearing people talking about submission, right? And if you read like Ephesians 5, which basically provides God's standard of marriage and what it should look like, then you understand that He breaks down the roles of a husband and a wife. And the husband is expected to love the wife as Christ loved the church and laid down his life for the church, and the wife is expected to submit. And I remember reading that the other day, and I thought about it, and having read it, because people really put emphasis on the role of the wife and tend not to shed a light on the role of the husband. But when you really read it, you understand that the husband actually has the biggest role to play. Because if you think of submission, it's not like I am your slave. The Bible doesn't say he who finds a wife finds, a servant or a slave. It says he who finds a wife finds a good thing. I am therefore going to be a blessing in somebody's life in a few years. Just having read that and realizing that, yes, the Bible talks about submission, but it's not submission the way the world has made it look, where it's like I am a slave to a man and his word is final and I have no say whatsoever, and my job is just to do what I am told in a marriage. Nah, I'm not marrying a parent. Like, I'm not marrying somebody to parent me. I am marrying somebody to be my life partner, right? And he is also marrying me to be his life partner, right? So if you look at it like that, then you realize that it is actually the man's job to make submission easy for me, or to make it something that happens organically, naturally for me. So if he loves me the way he's been instructed to love me, then I would be able to trust him with my life. And submission will therefore be an automatic and easy and natural thing. Something that I don't feel like I have been forced to do because this is what God has told me I should be as a wife, whereas my husband is out here making it so difficult for me to be submissive. I've shared this in one of my IGTV videos. Marriage is is it? No, it's not my biggest fear. It's my second biggest fear. And I only have two practical, non-petty fears in my life. And marriage is the second one. And it's something I've been praying to God about, because I truly believe that we shouldn't let fear get in the way of us enjoying something good that God has for us. And so, yeah, that's been my mindset on marriage. And as much as, yes, I am scared of it, I'm like, I'm going to cast that fear in to the Lord's hands, and I'm going to let him take charge, and I'm going to let him walk with me through this. So, because I've been thinking about marriage today and over the past like 2 weeks, of course that fear has, been ringing a bell in my mind. And so today I was really just like praying about it, especially because of how, you know, over the past like 2 years, the media has really been highlighting the negative sides of like failed marriages, where it's like people are murdering their family members in cold blood and then killing themselves. That's something that I don't know if it's been happening all over the world, but in Kenya, definitely. And so, of course, the Lord tells us to guard our hearts because it is the wellspring of life. The concept of garbage in, garbage out applies to our bodies, our minds, our hearts. So whatever we fill ourselves up with ultimately influences our actions. So if I'm filling myself up with fear and I'm fueling that fear by constantly seeing, bad things happening, So, like, because I have this fear of marriage, I'm constantly seeing people killing their kids and their spouses and then committing suicide. I'm just like, I don't know if I want that for myself. I don't know if I'm willing to take the risk. Oh, no, 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 no. But then God today, as I was praying about that, He there's a devotional I've been doing on the Bible app for like a year. But the devotional is a 10-day devotional, I believe. It is called Praying God's Truth Over Your Fears. And so the moment I concluded my prayer about my concerns and, that type of stuff, that notification popped up from the Bible app, praying like a reminder for me to read it. And so I was like, this is no coincidence, okay? So ended up getting distracted for a few minutes, but then I eventually remembered, yo, Melissa, you were supposed to read that devotional. It's for a reason that it popped up when it did, the way it did. So opened it up, and it was basically today's reading was about like praying God's truth over your fears when you are anxious about the future. And I was like, hey, Father Lord, I know you're always in my business, but damn, you keep proving it over and over again. So I read the devotional and, prayed, those Bible verses over my life and just left it into the hands of God. I said, you know what? These are my fears. This is why I'm anxious about this particular stage of my life. Please handle it. I am leaving it in your hands. And that is that. And it is in the hands of God. Second thing on my mind has been how we actually are required to take practical steps towards overcoming the struggles or the battles that we are fighting. I'll give you my struggle with lust as an example. And I believe I kind of touched on, well, it was like in the middle of an IGTV video, and I felt really comfortable placing it in that location intentionally because this is not something I have ever shared with anyone. So anybody who listened to that IGTV video until like the middle definitely knows about this, but I highly doubt anyone did. Which is why I was a bit more comfortable sharing it. But accompanying my issues with lust, I also used to masturbate. And I remember the turning point for me was there's a time I took it too far and it just hit me in my mind. It's like just my human instinct hit me. And I was like, Melissa, I don't think this is how the human body is supposed to function. I don't think you are built to pleasure yourself. And that was the moment I was like, I never want to do this again. I never want to do this again because I've experienced something I know is not my job to do for myself. That's not how God created my body to function. You get me? So that was my turning point, and I was like, I never want to do this again. So I remember when I started intentionally working against these two sins that I was bound to, I decided I need to cut off some things. I think at the time I had cut off secular music, but I was still like in and out, in and out. Like I wasn't intentionally listening to it on my own, but like if my friends were playing like a secular song, I wouldn't really say anything, and I would listen and I would vibe, I would jam, whereas and it would like actually affect me without me knowing. Whereas these days, I actually have a say. Like when people are playing something and I feel uncomfortable, I will actually change the song myself because I tend to be rude like that. But yeah, I've been called the B word a bunch of times in the past. So it's something I'm very much used to being considered as. So I feel like I've gotten to a point where I don't really care anymore. Anyway, when I started actually intentionally working to overcome those two things, I cut off secular music, I cut off a bunch of shows. I remember at the time I was watching Jane the Virgin, very good show, but something I've realized about Hollywood series is they will start quite innocently with shows that have innocent like storylines, right? But you know, so like episode one will be all good, nini. Episode two, three, you'll start noticing, there's a sex scene in there. And as you gradually progress through the series, the sex scenes will increase and increase and increase. And so for me, I would notice these things when I started intentionally working to overcome these two sins in my life. And I started becoming increasingly uncomfortable watching a lot of shows. So I cut off shows with sex scenes completely, right? If I saw one, I was like, I'm never watching this show again. I did that consistently for a few months. And yeah, I just have not been into series the way I was before. And these days, when I do notice a show has like those scenes, I actually do still cut off that show quite quickly. But I'm a bit more lenient because I'm not in that stage where it's like I am currently fighting the battle or the bondage. So I'll notice it once, then I'll notice it a second time, and I'm like, notice it a third time, and I'm like, yeah, no, no, we're not about to go back. We're not about to slip back into this. So, yeah. Anyway, my whole point with that was I was watching Hannah, guy, nimesahau jina yake full. Hannah Williamson, I think is her name. She does YouTube videos and she's best friends with Morgan from Paul and Morgan, the YouTube channel. But she was talking about how she was giving a testimony of one of her Patreons and how they stopped listening to they challenged themselves to stop listening to secular music for 30 days. And within the second day of the challenge, that Patreon actually spoke in tongues and was baptized in the Holy Spirit, which was something the Patreon was desiring for a really long time. And all it took was making that move to cut off secular music from their life, even if it was just for a 30-day challenge. And so such a big thing happened, and it reminded me that faith without works is actually dead. So we could be struggling with something, and yes, there is absolute power in Jesus Christ and in his name to break all of the chains over your life. But remember, you are walking in relationship with Christ, and so he is not a dictator, right? He is not a dictator. Something I've realized about him is he actually likes to walk in relationship with us and not just tell us what to do and demand actions from us, and like that's it, and he's not even helping us, he's not working with us. He's just like, I need you to live like this and like this and like this and like this, and you had better make sure you live like this. Otherwise you're going to hell. No, he actually works with us, which is why he gave us, sent the helper, the Holy Spirit, to help us in this journey of life and to overcome everything that we struggle with. So faith that works is dead. He can do it. He who the Son sets free is free indeed. But please remember to guard your heart. So, in as much as, yes, Christ is fighting the battle, you're fighting with him. Okay, you have the duty to kill the flesh. He's not going to force that on you, he's not going to do that for you. So whatever thing that is binding you, you keep saying, oh my gosh, I need to stop cursing. But you're still listening to rap music that is filled with curse words. I need to stop watching I need to stop watching pornography. I was going to say adult content or adult movies, but I like to call things as they are because I don't like to make things that are extremely wrong slightly better or slightly less wrong by relabeling them, because, something like, what was it? It's not pedophilia. I was talking about something else. There's something else that we've relabeled that has made it seem less wrong when it is actually terrible. And I remember talking about this when I was talking about how pedophiles now are like, call us MAPS, which stands for minor attracted persons. And I was talking about that and I was comparing it to this other thing that I'm forgetting. And I was like, this other thing now isn't considered as wrong because it's been rebranded. And so this is what pedophiles are doing as well. And pedophilia will soon become something that is accepted because it started with a name change. Okay. So yeah, you're telling yourself, oh, I don't want to be watching porn anymore, but like, in as much as, okay, you deleted your Pornhub account and blah 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 blah, you're still visiting, movie sites that air pirated movies, and there's gonna be pop-up ads with adult content on those pop-up ads, but you're still going there. And that's actually one of the things I had to cut out when I was battling last, which is why I told you guys for a really long time I was only watching movies from platforms that I would pay for. So Showmax, basically. Because of that. Because I knew if I open a site that does pirated like movies and series, I'd be exposing myself to stuff that will just trigger me back into that downward spiral. So do the work, put in the work. And as much as, yes, you're singing there's power in the name of Jesus to break every chain, do not be strengthening those chains through your physical actions, yet in the spirit you're expecting God to just break them. But you're just strengthening them. You're fighting against yourself. So that's the second thing on my mind. And once you do that, just watch the miracles happen. It'll be difficult the first few days, but imagine you'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. It may even be difficult for a few months, but you got this because he's got you. Period. What's the other thing on my mind? Oh, third thing on my mind, and I think I'll wrap it up with this one because this video is quite long. Um, African beauty standards. I've been learning a lot in my African art and design class, and the most beautiful thing I have taken away from this class is the fact that native African beauty standards were exclusive to what the African body actually naturally looks like and did and how it performed. And we've been corrupted or contaminated with this Western beauty standard that only people who are naturally from the West, okay, maybe not only people who are naturally from the West, but majority of people who are naturally from the West are the ones who fit within the mold of these Western beauty standards that we, everybody in the whole world, black people included, have decided to conform to because of pressure and because of influence from wherever we've gotten that pressure and influence. But like, I've gotten to a point where I look at the lines on my neck, like this, these lines right here, and I just smile because I've been looking at sculptures from native Western and Central Africa, and I've been noticing that they all the realistic sculptures that they have emphasize these rings, these lines, this extra fat on the neck. And I talked about this in one of my vlogs. I think it was a week in my life. And I realized that this was actually a beauty standard in Sierra Leone. But as of recently, I realized it was a general African beauty standard. And these days we look down on ourselves because of how we naturally look, because we've accepted the Western beauty standards. When we can't fit that mold, or majority of us cannot fit into that mold, when we should rather be accepting ourselves for who we are. The darker your skin was, the more beautiful you are considered in native Africa. What? They were also out here busy fighting our melanin with bleaching creams and surgeries and sunscreen and you know, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Our hair, what it did naturally, was considered beautiful. And I love that it is being considered more and more beautiful every single day now. But we still have so much more loving to do on ourselves to accept us for who God actually physically created us to look like or to be. Because guys, we're all made in the image of God: black, white, yellow, brown, blue, red, whatever. If you're a human being, you're made in the image of God. You are therefore beautiful. You are wonderful, fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully and wonderfully made. But it's just interesting how we've let that take over us. Beauty standards that are not ours were never meant to be ours. Heck, who even makes these standards? We're all beautiful. As long as you're healthy, you're beautiful. As long as you're healthy, I must say that again, you are beautiful. Be blessed, guys. I've been Melissa Joy. Still am Melissa Joy and I'll continue to be Melissa Joy. See you in my next YouTube video. Bye. I'm not sure if I'll post this. I might just keep this as like a diary entry for myself. Who knows?